Welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast, where we talk to C-level leaders from across the payments landscape. We'll be discussing the products and services that impact the payment space today, as well as trends and predictions for the future of payments. We will also hear stories from our guests about their journeys to the top.
It's a combination of both. We're in it as a win-win. The concept is very simple. If we do our job right, we're going to grow your revenues, decrease your costs, save you money on payments that actually pays for the SaaS revenue. So we make money both on SaaS and on payments. We're payments experts. And we have, between our founders, we have like 60 years of payments experience. But we do it in such a way that it actually saves the businesses money.
That was Doron Friedman, the co-founder and CPO of SpotOn. And this is episode 158 of the Leaders in Payments podcast. And I'm your host, Greg Myers. Doron's father discouraged all of his children from becoming an entrepreneur. So Doron's first ambitions were towards investment banking. But it didn't take him long to figure out that despite his father's wishes, he had the entrepreneurial bug. And instead of investment banking, he started his self-proclaimed non-traditional entrepreneurial path by opening a bagel shop. And now, as co-founder of SpotOn, Doron is grateful that his journey has proven the risks to be well worth it. For those of you who may not know, SpotOn is one of the fastest growing software payments companies in the marketplace today, with a comprehensive cloud-based technology services model that targets everything from SMBs to large enterprise operations. We also discuss their company culture of thinking big and acting small, their unique approach to enhancing the customer experience, and how they chose to invest in their staff during the global pandemic while others were cutting staff. We've got a great episode ahead, so let's get started. Hi, Doron. Thank you for being here and welcome to the Leaders in Payments podcast.
Greg, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in and we'll talk a little bit later about your professional career, but tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you grew up, where you went to school, where you currently live, a few things like that.
Sure. So I was born in Israel, actually. I guess, my family story is actually inspired by my father. He was, both my parents were Holocaust survivors and they came to Israel after World War II. And they came from very wealthy families and lost everything, had to start from scratch, became entrepreneurs. Although my father didn't want any of us to become entrepreneurs, it ended up that was my path. I didn't know that for a long time. I went like a non-traditional path to where I am today. My whole life, I thought I was going to be an investment banker. I grew up in Miami Beach, went to school, to the Wharton School. That was the one school I wanted to get into. Got in, did well there, and got some job offers. And something was gnawing at me, and I just felt like I needed to go ahead and become an entrepreneur. And I had this idea of opening up bagel places at university campuses on the West Coast. I started a company called IB Bagel Cafe, and my father was so upset. He said, "There's no way I'm going to help you." He didn't want anybody to be an entrepreneur. He knew how tough it was, and it caused him a lot of health issues over the years. And so basically, I did it anyways, and I went and borrowed $10,000 from each one of my siblings. I had a little money saved up. I had a partner that I thought was going to be funding most of it, or if not everything. And unfortunately, her father changed the deal on me after I said no to my job offers. And so I had to come up with the money and do 50% of the work. And long story short, I learned the hard way how tough business can be, how you get into the weeds. I learned how to bake bagels, roll bagels, do wholesale, do things of that nature. And was working 11, 12, 15, 16 hours sometimes a day, and I basically fainted in front of the oven. And that really was the way that I learned how to become an owner and to delegate and to grow businesses. I ended up buying my partner out. And once I did that, the business started to grow. And I got into my first technology company right before the dot-com crash. It was called ROI. And it was the first company in the world to manufacture and produce credit cards with no inventory. We also ran the gift card websites of the biggest retailers in the country, Macy's, Lowe's, you name it. We had, when you bought gift cards at those websites, you were on our platform. And one of our customers was Amazon at the time. And I was living in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. And they told us, if you want to do business with Amazon, you can't have a headquarter or location in California. And so we moved our family to Chicago. Every winter, I'm very thankful that my wife hasn't left me, because I told her we'll be here for 2 to 3 years. We'll go back to somewhere warm. But here we are. We're in beautiful Glencoe, Illinois. It's been great. We started SpotOn here as at least the product team and my two partners, Matt and Zach.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that overview. And let's dive in and talk about the company. So tell us what SpotOn does.
It's really one of the fastest growing software and payments companies right now. We offer a comprehensive cloud-based technology, and it services everything from an SMB to mid-size to enterprise. We started out with the concept of loyalty and marketing and these shared services, but we have one of the top, if not the top, restaurant point of sale systems. So we go after the restaurant industry. Then we have on the services and retail side, we built our own omnichannel point of sale system that can service anything from a spa to a salon to auto body shop or any kind of small business, really. And then we purchased a company called Appetize in late fall. And then that company really services the sports and entertainment industries. It is one of the leaders it has over 50% of sports stadiums, where imagine if you have a point of sale, you can scan a QR code in the back of a seat and pick up your order or get it delivered from a hawker. It does amusement parks, education. So we cover from everything from a small business all the way up to a giant business like a stadium, for example, or a multi-location restaurant chain. And so we really look at it from the perspective that every small entrepreneur, they dream of having one location and growing it to thousands. So we know that we build products all the way to help them across that journey. We are coupled with incredible customer service. And we offer this really built from the ground up loyalty, website development, e-commerce, reservations, waitlisting, mobile ordering, digital payments, all review management, all comes together. So it's really easy for businesses to use our platform and to run their business.
And are you in just the US or other regions?
So we have over 2,000 employees worldwide that are located in the United States, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, but also Mexico City, Krakow, Poland. But although we have people in those internationally, we actually only service businesses in the United States right now.
Okay. And is your business model based on just transaction fees, or are there also SaaS fees?
It's a combination of both. We're in it as a win-win. The concept is very simple. If we do our job right, we're going to grow your revenues, decrease your costs, save you money on payments that actually pays for the SaaS revenue. So we make money both on SaaS and on payments. We're payments experts. And we have, between our founders, we have like 60 years of payments experience. But we do it in such a way that it actually saves the businesses money.
Okay. And do you go to market through a direct sales force or partnership channel, or a little bit of both?
So we tend to do our own sales. We really believe in having local presence. And we have over 600 sales reps that actually sell our solutions into restaurants, into SMBs. We have an enterprise sales team as well that sells into a bit larger enterprises. But we do believe on that human touch.
Okay. And you mentioned it started with restaurants, and you mentioned a few other verticals. Was it challenging to move out of a space you knew very well to these other verticals?
I don't think it was challenging. We just have to find the right people. If you really think about businesses, they all have the same thing. They want the same thing. They want to increase their revenue. They want to decrease their costs. They want to attract and attain employees. They want to give great service and have quality products. So when we're focused on those things, whether it's in a restaurant or retail environment, you're really solving the same problems just for different verticals.
Makes perfect sense. So how would you say your company is different? What differentiates you from your competitors out there?
First of all, I love competition. We all love competition in our company. We're very competitive human beings. It just makes you better. So you learn and you try to become better. And in the end, the people who win are the customers. If you have great competitors and you really think you can win, everybody wins in the end. We also have this attitude. We have a saying in our company, think big and act small. What does that mean? It means coming up with big ideas, but not placing all these barriers and bureaucracy that will halt you from actually implementing these ideas. It means that it doesn't matter what title you are in your company, people can get in touch with you. We really, really are focused on the customer. Like we mentioned before, the sales team, that personalized service, people on the street talking to you. You're not going to just, everybody's in this chat mentality. I think chat is great. Don't get me wrong. But if that's the only way you can communicate with, your vendors or your partners, that's troubling. So we have that human touch. We actually do outbound where we actually call businesses to see how we can help them, how we can help them grow their business, how we can help them save money. And so we have that different attitude, and it's very customer focused. Everybody from the management team, my partners and I, believe it or not, we get on phone calls with, even though we have, I don't know, it's close to 40,000 businesses out there, we go out and talk to customers all the time. We actually even answer ops emails. So we have that mentality that everybody really needs to understand the customer, have empathy for the customer, and be in touch with the customer and learn from the customer.
Okay. And I just want to dig deeper on one thing and make sure I understand. So obviously payments is a big part of your business, but you also talked a little bit, I think, about other services beyond just taking payments. So can you talk about some of those services that you provide just beyond just your traditional payments?
Sure. We're a software platform. So think about, like, for a restaurant, we build you the ability to, if you think about taking an order, a handheld device. The pandemic really was a paradigm shift. Basically, a lot of things went to contactless. And when we started our business and we hit this roadblock where this pandemic hit in March, and then that following April, our sales went down by 50% and all these businesses were closing, we could have made a decision. Our biggest competitor at the time fired half their staff. We invested in our staff and then decided that if we told our teams and said, look, you work hard, but if you're going to work hard in your life, this is the time to work the hardest. Because these entrepreneurs have put their life savings on the line to start these businesses. They are the biggest employer of employees in the United States. We got to come up with solutions and software and products that are going to help them get through this pandemic. And so we launched our SpotOn Order, which is online ordering for restaurants. We launched SpotOn QR, which allows you to contactless ordering and payments at the table. We built a handheld device, for example, that allows you to turn tables faster with less employees because nobody was working anymore. So how do you do that in such a way? And then all of a sudden the businesses opened up, and then all these online orders, and then these kitchens are getting inundated from online orders as well as the orders from the people inside the restaurants. And so we built a pacing technology that allows, to limit the amount of orders that they accept online, so that way during busy hours, they don't get inundated and they can actually service their customers better. We believe in loyalty and connecting with the customers. We have our own marketing application, which allows people to send emails, social posts to their customers, allows you to know which customers stop coming into your locations and be able to market to them to come back. Everything's about really building these relationships with your customers, getting your customers to come more often, getting them to be loyal, whether it's with our loyalty program, and doing it in such a way that it just doesn't cost the business too much money and doesn't cause them to spend too much time doing these things. We do as much as we can for you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how you guys managed through the pandemic. I think it's an interesting, when you brought up 50% of your business went away, but then it came back in full force, but it was different. So maybe talk a little bit about how you kept the culture going during that time and maybe some of the experiences you had. I mean, and know it had to be, it was challenging for everyone, but let alone a company that's focused on an industry that basically shut down. So curious if you can talk through kind of some of the experiences you had.
Yeah. So people were aware that everybody was scared, right? And I think the message of empathy for our customers resonated. We told everybody to get their folks on calls with customers, listen to their problems, understand how scared they are, and understand their challenges. We came up with something called SpotOn Capital. We gave loans to businesses. We actually went ahead and gave away millions of dollars with a free SaaS in the first couple months to our businesses because they couldn't pay for it before they got their PPP loans. We connected them with PPP providers. We did everything we could. And I think that culture, that can do, won't fail our customers mentality, didn't change our culture. It was part of our culture. It made our culture even stronger. It resonated with our team even more. And I'm so grateful for our team. I mean, what they've done in the past couple of years has been absolutely amazing. And it's really that empathy that really brought us through the pandemic. And April was 50% down. May we hit record numbers. June we hit record numbers. We were still, we pinch ourselves, to be honest with you, that we were able to grow that rapidly during such difficult times. But we didn't do it at the expense of our clients. I can tell you that much.
Right, right. Well, we talked about the past. Let's talk about the future. So where do you think payments is heading in the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
So if you think about payments, I think alternative payments are going to be part of our future, right? Credit cards are amazing. They changed the environment many, many years ago. But contactless alternative methods, I have young kids, they don't want bank accounts and credit cards as much as they have Venmo, PayPal. So we allow that. But this whole crypto generation is something to keep notice. I don't know who is going to win, which pony's going to win the race, but I would bet on the race. And the future of allowing crypto, there's 25%, I think, of college kids own crypto. There was a study done, I think it was, I forgot the exact numbers, but it was close to, I think, 40% of 18 to 36-year-olds are going to use crypto to purchase products in 2022. That's an amazing number. You have this rich group of customers that have crypto as well. And so you need to tap into that. You need to future-proof your business to accept these kind of alternative payments. And I think that can only help you in the future. I think the other thing that I'm seeing is international acceptance. I think if you look at Stripe, Adyen, and now even FIS, some of the companies like Verifone, they're all developing solutions where once you integrate with them, you can accept payments in other countries. So basically that international acceptance with one integration is something that you're seeing more of. What's important to us is tokenization of customers. You see that with registered and unregistered PayFacs. And that allows people to really follow customers across merchants. If you're not a PayFac and someone has a transaction, you only know about that person's credit card transactions at that merchant. But with a PayFac or with some kind of tokenization technology, you can actually follow that customer across all your merchants. And that's pretty powerful. If you know how to use that data in a way that is non-intrusive and non-personal, but allow your businesses to use that data to generate more sales, that's really, really important. Those are the three, if I had to say the three things that I look at in the future of payments. I think it's going to get cheaper and faster as well. And I think that everybody's moving closer and closer to same-day settlement as well.
Yeah, I think those are all spot on and definitely big time trends in our industry. Curious if you can talk a little bit about where you think the restaurant industry is heading. I mean, there's been so much change so fast, but are there some unique things on the horizon in the restaurant industry?
I think the restaurant industry is going to continue to use technology and evolve. I think that there's going to be some kind of, you have full-scale dining and you have fast casual. There's going to be some kind of where it's going to be more diluted as to what business each one is. For example, I think you're going to see restaurants with smaller footprints and than you have in the past with more online and off-premise orders. So I think off-premise is here to stay. How they do it and how they take advantage is important. I think the next big change in restaurants is going to be how do you go ahead and how do you make your labor more efficient? Everybody is talking about, I saw my first restaurant from when I was 21 years old. And I can tell you that in California, labor rates have gone up by 50% over the past 4 years. If you're a business if your labor is $300,000 a year 4 years ago, and you made $150,000 profit, that profit is all gone by the increase in payroll over those 4-year period. Now, how do you deal with that? You have to increase prices or you make your labor a lot more efficient. One of the examples that I gave you before was if you can take the same staff and they can turn more tables quickly, that's incredible. If someone right now can start ordering their drinks ahead of time using a QR code that turns tables faster, the more they actually are using QR codes to order, the less labor that you need, right? And then people want to leave. A lot of times they're just waiting for a server to come to their table so they can just scan a QR code or NFC tag, pay for it and walk out. I think anything that deals with making labor more efficient is going to be part of the restaurant's future. And then lastly is compliance. I think there's all these labor laws in every state regarding overtime. And there's a lot of legal, a lot of lawyers are chasing restaurants and suing restaurants for certain things. So we bought a company called Dolce, who really allows businesses to make sure that they pay the correct tips based on minimum wage, allow people to make sure they're clocking in, clocking out, People have to get an override if they're clocking in early after a break, things of that nature. It's really to protect these merchants in these restaurants, I think is critical. I think that's not just restaurants. I think that's retail in general.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Well, let's switch gears and talk a little bit more about you. You mentioned your background a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper. So before SpotOn, you had a loyalty company. So maybe talk about how you started that company and then how you started SpotOn, sort of what the inspiration was.
Yeah, so initially when Zach and I met and we really worked on just bringing marketing and loyalty to small businesses. The businesses that used it did an incredible job and it really helped them. But without the payments piece of it, we couldn't really show the ROI. And when they sold their company to TSYS, which is now global, we got into payments. And that's really when everything shifted for us. And we started developing richer data. We started showing ROI. We brought in review management. And we really were so focused on helping these businesses grow. And not only growing, showing them how they're growing and showing them how to grow and how to save money. And bringing that payments processing with the marketing, with the loyalty, with the review management, and now the point of sale systems, and putting that and showing that all that data and telling people what they can do with that data. I mean, it really took us to a whole nother level.
Okay. And when did you start SpotOn?
So SpotOn started in 2017. We grew from 50 people, believe it or not, to over 2,000 in that period of time.
Wow. That's a lot of growth to manage.
Yeah. It's fun. It's exciting. It's hard work. It's very, very long days, but it's probably, I have to say, it's probably one of the most fulfilling jobs in the world.
I always like to ask this when there's co-founders involved. So can you explain a little bit of the dynamics between the three of you?
Yeah, I think the three of us, it's like, we're almost like relatives, almost like a marriage. First of all, I'm the only partner they ever had that wasn't the two of them. So I imagine me being in their world is extremely difficult. We have very different personalities, but we divide and conquer. They're the most amazing people at managing a remote sales team I've ever seen. They're incredible operators, but they never ran a product or technology company before, something I've done. So we have kind of our lanes, but we work together. We talk together multiple times a day. And we have the same philosophy when it comes to customers. And if you have that, and when it comes to culture, if you align on values, I think you can really accomplish something. And look, I consider myself fortunate because their strengths are my weaknesses. And I think vice versa, to be honest with you. I think they've become very savvy on product technology over the years. So that's amazing. It's a testament to them. But we just really work well together.
And it sounds like your North Star is all the same. It's the customer.
It's the customer. Yeah. It's absolutely the customer. It's the customer and it's also our colleagues, right? I always say, I'm in interviews. I've been told that this is a little different, but we say we hire on the product team. Self-starting, smart, kind people. And if you're not kind, you can't work here. Because if you're not kind, you can't have empathy for the customer. You can't have empathy for your colleagues. You won't be there to help your colleagues out. You won't be there to collaborate. And we don't lose very many people in our company. We've lost absolutely no one in my product org in the past year and a half, even though, they get multiple offers. And it's not because I'm such a great boss. I'm sure I'm pretty difficult to work with, but it's just really, I think we hire the right people.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Well, what are some things you're passionate about? So maybe one work passion and one personal passion.
So personally, family trumps everything. I love traveling with my family. I love going to the beaches. I grew up in Miami Beach. I lived in Santa Barbara. The beach is where I find peace when there's stress. And I love to enjoy that with my family. There's a racket sport we play, paddle balls on the beach when my entire family plays it. And it's really fun to just spend time with them. As for work, I just love working on implementing ideas that make a difference, doing it in such a way that we have the saying, if you're going to fail fast. So bring ideas to market, talk to your customers, iterate upon those ideas, and just really make a difference. And when you make a difference and a customer comes to you and says, wow, that really helped me. This is amazing. It just, you want to have a nice scotch at the end of the evening and say, wow, I've done something good today. And it's great.
Where do you think those best ideas come from? From customers or from internal or a combination?
It's funny you asked that question. In college, there was a professor who used to give pass-fail questions. And, there's a janitor who used to come in every day. And not every day, every other day, basically, in our room over there. They didn't take too much notice of him. And the question on the exam was, what is the janitor's name? And everybody failed the test. What is the lesson from that is basically that everybody has a role in an organization and everybody adds value. And you need to connect with those people and you need to understand them and learn from them. So we learn from all of our colleagues. We learn from the salespeople who talk to the customers. Most importantly, though, we do talk to the customers and we listen to them. We create advisory committees as operators, people who are operators, people who are founders, people who are just managers, and even employees. So we can go ahead and learn from all of them so to make sure that our products resonate with them. The other side of it is I don't sleep well at night and I'm constantly thinking of ideas. My partner's constantly thinking of ideas. And as entrepreneurs, it's part of who you are is you constantly think of ideas. You got to vet them and you got to create MVPs, minimum viable products, but you do constantly come up with ideas and you just got to test them out really quickly and make sure they have legs.
Right. So I always like to ask this question because I think everyone brings a unique kind of view to it. And it's around people coming into our industry. You know, I've been in the space over 15 years. And when I first started, payments was credit card and debit card payments and a little bit of online stuff, but certainly has changed. And now that we've added fintech to it, so obviously a lot of money has been invested in this space. It's kind of a hot, sexy industry to be in. So curious what your advice would be to someone just coming out of college, want to go into payments or fintech. What would you tell them they should do to be successful?
Well, first of all, they got to find, if they're not going to be entrepreneurs, they got to find the right company. That is critical. And so you got to go to places that, like, I really believe in the way we handle things. Think big, act small. Go to businesses or start a business where you're not scared of big ideas, because it's a very competitive field. And almost everything that you're doing, there's somebody else doing it. So prepare to fail fast and then go back after it and make it better. And that's really one of the things that you should do as either an employee, as an entrepreneur, or at least go to companies that think this way. I think you should look for companies and businesses that are all about connecting with customers, listening to customers, people who have empathy for their customers and their colleagues, because you need to go to a place where you can actually learn and grow. And the way to do that is to listen to your customers and to work with colleagues who have knowledge and experience, but are also kind enough that they're not going to compete with you in such a way that they're going to hold you back.
Yeah, I think that's all great advice. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today so far. We've talked about, obviously, your background and the company and your kind of vision of where the industry is headed. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
The only thing I would say is, like, the payments industry is a very, very exciting industry. We're excited. SpotOn is so excited to be part of this growth. And I'm so excited to see all the new innovations that are going to be coming in the next year, as long as they actually are innovative enough to really help these entrepreneurs and mid-sized businesses and even large-sized businesses really grow during these hectic times.
Yeah, what's the best way for people to learn more about SpotOn?
You just go to SpotOn.com, and we're constantly hiring, we're constantly growing, and we're always looking for talented folks to join our team.
Okay. Well, Doron, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being on the show. I know your time is very valuable, so I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Greg. Take care.
You too. And to all you listeners out there, I thank you for your time as well. And until the next story.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Leaders in Payments podcast. Make sure you visit our website at leadersinpayments.com, where you can subscribe to the show and where you'll find our show notes. If you enjoyed listening, please share on your social channels as well.